Welcome back. So let's get started with the creation of Snowpipe. Now, before we get started, I want you guys to go to S3, click on the bucket that we've created. Inside of the folder e-commerce underscore dev, we have a folder called line item. Now I want you guys to create a new folder by the name of line item underscore Snowpipe. Okay. Inside of this folder, create another folder called CSV. Now and leave it empty for now. So also, once you do this, I want you guys to download a few files, CSV files from the line item table, which is something we've seen already. So you have your e-commerce dev folder, you have line item, and then you have folder line item underscore CSV. Just make sure you download maybe 4 or 5 files that we'll use to test our Snowpipe execution at a later stage. So download it into your local system and just leave it there. Now let's go back to our Snowflake account. As usual, I'm going to say use role sysadmin, use the schema. Now, what I want to do is create a new stage object with the same name as before. We've already created the stage object, if you remember, while copying CSV files into line item. So I want to recreate it. So I'm going to say create or replace stage, the name of the stage object. Storage integration is the same. Now this URL, I want this to be the new path, which is empty right now. So let's copy the URL and paste it here. Now I want the stage to refer to the new location instead of the old one, and I'm going to execute it. So my stage object is created. Let's make sure it's empty by saying list at the rate name of your stage object. So you can see it's empty now. Now next, what I'm going to do is create the pipe. Yeah, this is Snowpipe. So it's a fairly straightforward SQL command. It says create or replace pipe followed by the name of the pipe. My naming convention is table name underscore pipe. And we say auto ingest is true. That's the whole purpose of using Snowpipe. You can set it to false initially, but I'm going to keep it to true, which means as soon as the data is written into my staging location, which is this path over here, my pipe will be triggered, and on trigger, it'll execute this copy into command. Now this copy into table from stage location is something we've seen already. All I'm doing is creating a pipe which will execute this command by itself. So let me execute this. So once executed successfully, just type show pipes. So it'll tell you the name of the pipe. Now the important thing to note here is the notification channel. Okay. Now before we actually do this, let me tell you what we have to do. We have to use a service of AWS called Simple Queue Service. Now, as soon as the data arrives into this bucket, right, in the form of batches or micro batches, this will trigger a notification to SQS, which in turn will trigger a Snowpipe. So that's how Snowpipe will know when it is supposed to execute the copy command automatically. So let's click on the name of the bucket and click on properties. Make sure you're in the root of the bucket and not inside of any subdirectory or folder. And scroll down. Now you'll see a section called event notifications. Okay. Let's click on create event notification. Let's give it a name. So I'm going to call this line item. We call it event. I'm going to say line item underscore trigger underscore event. Now this prefix is extremely important because you're creating an event notification on a bucket level, which means on a high level, every time there is a new object written inside of this bucket, no matter where it is, you don't want the Snowpipe to be triggered, right? So you want the Snowpipe to be triggered only when your data is written inside of this folder, which is e-commerce dev line item underscore Snowpipe and in CSV folder, right? So let's copy this and I'm going to use that as a prefix. So when it comes to prefixes in S3, you don't need the S3 path. So inside of this bucket, I have e-commerce dev, I have line item inside of that, line item underscore snowpipe and CSV. Okay, so it's only when my data is written inside this path will my event create a notification to SQS. Now let's scroll down. Now for which events do you need the trigger to be executed? For now, just for the sake of simplicity, I'm going to select all object create events. And let's scroll on further. Now, the destination, you need to select SQSQ, all right? And select enter SQSQARN. Now, this SQSQARN is what we'll get from the notification channel of which is a result of show pipes command, right? So let me execute it again. You will notice this notification channel. So let's copy this, the entire string ARN, and go back and let's paste it here. Now, once this is done, you can click on save changes. There is an error. Let me go back. I'm guessing I didn't copy it fully. Yep. So let me paste it again. So this looks all right. Let's click on save changes. So I have created an event notification that'll be notifying my SQSQ. Now let's go back. I hope you guys have downloaded some data just to test the execution of Snowpipe. I have done it as well, so which is inside my sample data. So I'm going to copy just two of these files which belong to line item table, and I'm just going to drag them and drop them here. Now before we actually hit the upload button, let's go back, make sure the line item table is empty. I'm going to say truncate table line item, right? Let's do a select count of star from line item. Just make sure it doesn't have any data, so the count is 0. So now we can actually upload the files and see if Snowpipe pipe was triggered automatically. So the data was uploaded. You can see the two files here. Let's go back. Now it's going to take a while, maybe a minute or two, for the data to actually load into your table. But in the meanwhile, what you guys can do is have a look at the load history. Now this table has a history of all the load commands that were executed. You can actually remove this filter. I've added this filter for table line item, and I'm just saying show me the last 10 rows ordered by the last load time. So let's run this. Now you can see the file name that was actually ingested. Looks like the data was ingested from my Snowpipe, so I'm going to do a select count of 1. So you can see the data has been ingested automatically. So it has 20,990 rows. All right, so let's also do a select star limit 10. So you can see the data has been ingested. Let's upload a few more. Let's actually upload all of the remaining files. I'm just gonna drop it here and say upload. There you go. Let's do a count of 1. It's gonna take a while. Now, the one thing to notice here is that every time a new file is written to your destination folder or your staging path, Snowflake makes sure it does not ingest everything that is there. Snowpipe keeps a metadata of the last files that have been ingested. So initially we ingested the first two files only, right? By uploading them. And in the next batch, we uploaded the other four files, right? Now, Snowpipe is not going to duplicate everything by ingesting everything again. It is only going to ingest data from the last four. So it's a pretty cool feature where you do not have to worry about uh, duplicate data, right? Let me execute this again. So there you go. I guess it took like 30 to 45 seconds, something like that, less than a minute certainly. And you can see the count has gone up. You have 51,000 rows now. So that's pretty much how Snowpipe works. And in the next video, we'll be understanding some more features of Snowpipe. I'll see you guys there. Thanks for watching.